Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville, fiber internet, streaming TV, home security, and automation in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members, thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. There aren't enough beds, and there's certainly not enough money for counties to keep up with the state's exploding jail population.
We've had staff, be attacked. Here recently, we had a staff member that got punched from an inmate when he came in.
We'll look at how legislators are trying to help and why critics say they're not addressing the real problem. The city of Bloomington is considering raising stormwater fees to update infrastructure and add environmentally sustainable upgrades. And we don't think about sand, but it's vital for construction and helps drive the economy.
It is used in so many different things, the glass products, the concrete products, the asphalt products.
Just ahead, how rising sand prices are already affecting Indiana communities. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, as counties across the state grapple with exploding jail populations, some state lawmakers are looking at ways to give them relief. They're proposing changes that include directing more funding to counties and sending some felons back to prisons. But in part one of a two-part reporting series, Barbara Brosier explains why some worry those are temporary fixes to a larger incarceration crisis.
Danica Kennedy has been at the Hancock County Jail for nearly a month.
Trying to shower sometimes can be a problem. Just a number of things that can come with the overcrowding.
She's housed in a cell block that's so full, several women are sleeping on bunk beds in the common area. The constant commotion makes it hard to stay focused. Even the smallest of problems can escalate into fights.
You have people who get upset because it's a line in the shower, it's razor day, and somebody jumps in front of them, and people are pretty quick to fight about, things like that. It can wear on you, like I said, and a lot of people can't handle it.
On this particular day, there are 211 people in a jail meant to house fewer than 160. That doesn't include the 70 inmates Hancock County is paying other counties to house.
Last year, we spent almost $600,000 sending other inmates to other counties.
The problem extends well beyond this small jail. A 2018 report from the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute shows 77% of the state's jails were at or over capacity. Police and prosecutors across the state will tell you the reasons are multifaceted. They blame the opioid epidemic for an uptick in drug offenses and violent crime. And criminal code reform legislators passed a few years ago means level 6 felons are taking up valuable space in their facilities instead of serving their sentences in prison.
I believe that we, as the state of Indiana, change the criminal code, have played a big part in the jail overcrowding, and I think we should resolve it.
Representative Randy Fry wants to ease the burden criminal code reform placed on local jails by letting counties request the Department of Correction take in convicted level 6 felons if their facility is at capacity. The DOC would house those inmates at shuttered prisons it still owns in the state, which would become regional holding facilities.
There's no funding in the bill for additional revenue to DOC. So the way we fund it now is that the $35 a day per diem that the county gets when they have a prisoner is then transferred to Department of Corrections while they have the prisoner. And so therein offsets that additional cost to DOC.
Critics argue the bill won't alleviate Indiana's increasing incarcerated population. It will just shift the problem from one jurisdiction to another. Another proposal would keep level 6 felons in jails, but increase the reimbursement rate the state pays counties for housing them. But research from the Vera Institute for Justice, a nonprofit that aims to reduce mass incarceration, illustrates a bigger problem. It shows Indiana is an outlier when it comes to its jail population.
We're in this moment that's often talked about as sort of the reversal of mass incarceration. Indiana, in many ways, has been moving or staying in the opposite direction.
Heiss says no other state has increased its jail population so dramatically in the past decade. Dozens of Indiana counties are considering building new jails as a result.
Have you looked at any budget cuts?
In Hancock County, some residents expressed concerns during a public hearing this week about a proposed new jail. County leaders say they need a facility with triple the number of current beds to meet state and federal requirements.
To allow for staff to be more safe, to allow inmates to be safer in our facility, this is something we have to do.
But voters here rejected a request in May to fund the project through a property tax increase. Now the county council wants to raise local income taxes by 0.2%. A few residents question if that's the best solution in a place some jokingly call Handcuff County.
There's also other alternatives as well. For instance, rehabilitation for people who are capable of being rehabilitated, restitution to the victims of crime. Instead of just locking them up in the local jail, make them do something useful.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
State Representative Matt Pierce, a Democrat from Bloomington, has worked for reform in the criminal justice system. He wants the state to move away from warehousing prisoners toward a model that emphasizes treatment for addiction and mental health. Matt, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So we saw in that story 77% of jails in the state are at or over capacity. Maybe just come from a lawmaker's perspective, how did it get to that level?
Well, it's been a long time building process, and part of the problem I see is people are kind of blaming that on the criminal code reform, where we told the counties you need to keep the low-level nonviolent felons at home, not to warehouse them in jail, but to get them in the mental health and addiction programs that are proven to be much more effective and keep them from coming back and committing more crimes. And so one area that you really want to focus on if you want to lower overcrowding in county jails are the number of people in jail awaiting trial. We did a study in 2017 in the Corrections and Criminal Code Study Committee and found that if you just let out half of the people who are in jail just awaiting trial, that you would only have 13 counties with overcrowded prisons. So that's where the focus really needs to be, is how do we use evidence-based best practices to ensure we're only keeping people in jail before trial that are actually a danger to society.
So one bill we looked at would create regional holding facilities. Now this is for convicted level 6 felons. Now do you see that, first of all, how would that work, and do you see that helping at all?
Well, Representative Fry has a proposal that would essentially say if your county jail hit capacity, you could offload some of the level 6 felons, the low-level felons that are being held in your county jail until your population went down, and then you would take them back. The problem is the level 6 felons are really not the issue, and that would require the state to put resources into creating the central holding facility. What needs to happen is, instead of counties spending millions and millions of dollars building new jails, or the state creating new holding facilities, we need to be building treatment facilities, mental health facilities that get at the underlying cause of what's actually causing people to be ensnared in the criminal justice system. Otherwise, we're just treating the symptoms.
So you talk about treating the symptoms. Does there need to be maybe a bigger approach or comprehensive look at all of this too at the same time? Is that happening?
The thing that's frustrating to me is when we did criminal code reform, that was a 4 or 5 year process. We got rid of mandatory minimum sentences. We recognized that the addictions and mental health were really driving the prison population, and we've now test piloted the programs that actually provide the treatment and get at the underlying causes. And if we would just follow through and expand that statewide to all counties instead of being in pilot counties, we would have the problem solved.
We have to end it there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And in part 2 of our series next week, we'll take a look at what jail overcrowding means for inmates suffering from mental illness. Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. A panel of House lawmakers unanimously approved legislation this week that would allow guns in churches that are on school grounds. The bill would allow property owners, whether it's a house of worship or a school, to decide whether churchgoers can carry guns at a service. The legislation also changes the period of short-term handgun licenses from 4 years to 5. More than 200 volunteers decked out in red shirts flooded the State House hallways this week to advocate for gun safety legislation. They asked lawmakers to expand red flag laws, which give the courts power to remove guns from those who exhibit destructive behavior. They also criticized a bill to allow volunteers at a school with a house of worship to carry a handgun on the premises.
We don't think guns belong in schools, period. And we know that the majority of students and educators and experts on education and law enforcement agree with us.
Advocates included students and parents affected by the shooting at Noblesville West Middle School and the mother of a 4-year-old who fatally shot himself after a babysitter left a loaded firearm unattended. Governor Eric Holcomb designated school safety a top priority for this year's legislative session. There are more than 24 school safety-related bills in the legislature, some filed in direct response to the Noblesville shooting. A federal jury in Indianapolis determined Cook Medical must pay a Georgia woman $3 million for complications from a blood clot filter deteriorating inside her body. Cook says it will appeal the court's decision, calling it a complex case with unique patient-specific factors. This is the first time a jury has found the widely used IVC filters made by Cook Medical and other manufacturers to be defective. Lawmakers are considering a bill to raise the age to buy tobacco and e-cigarettes in Indiana from 18 to 21, with the exceptions for service members and veterans. A common argument is that if people are old enough to fight for their country, they should be old enough to smoke. John McGough is a doctor and a veteran. He testified in favor of the bill, but not the service member exemption.
Yes, 18-year-olds are old enough to fight for their country. However, I would argue that they are more effective service members when they're free from the effects of tobacco.
Indiana has one of the highest smoking rates in the country, and young Hoosiers are vaping at increasing rates. The bill passed committee, but may undergo revisions. Indiana has one of the highest rates of incarcerated parents in the country. That separation can have a lasting emotional impact on children. Proposed legislation would give some incarcerated parents more involvement in their children's lives. The bill would allow parents to appear in court to discuss the case involving their child and give judges more flexibility when determining if terminating parental rights is warranted. The bill now heads to the full House. Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill wants the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on a lawsuit over a state abortion law. A 2016 Indiana law required women to wait at least 18 hours between an ultrasound and their abortion. Planned Parenthood sued, and a federal district judge in the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals halted the law. Now, Hill wants the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in. Conservative groups hope the new court will be more favorable to the anti-abortion legislation. Senate lawmakers are debating major changes to Indiana's gambling industry. A new bill would do three big things: allow a casino in Gary to move inland away from the waterfront and let a casino open in Terre Haute. It would also legalize sports wagering, which would include online gambling. While some provisions caused division, the sports wagering portion drew widespread support. But Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson says allowing the casino to move would be a game changer.
For the citizens of Gary, this is so much more than an opportunity to move a casino and capitalize on a new location.
But the state's other casinos don't like the bill, despite provisions that would help communities deal with the effects of shifting gaming revenue. The Senate Public Policy Committee unanimously advanced the bill. Indiana is the most manufacturing-heavy state in the country, but the Brookings Institution Metropolitan Policy Program says the state has the highest percentage of jobs that could be lost due to automation in the near future. Kokomo and Elkhart ranked second and third out of 300 metropolitan areas in the U.S. They found that jobs not requiring a college education are 229% more vulnerable to being lost to automation than careers requiring a college degree. And Joe, no surprise then, the emphasis here on workforce development in the state and getting people ready to fill jobs that won't be automated.
Barbara, thank you very much. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. A new exhibit at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis is bringing original Star Trek sets and props to the Hoosier State, but it's not here for long. Find out how long you have to see the exhibit. And sand is an increasingly in-demand product. It's vital for construction from roads to houses, and that means it's getting a lot more expensive. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Bloomington city leaders want to increase stormwater fees to boost revenue for infrastructure improvement projects. As Alex Eadie reports, the additional funding could also pay for environmentally friendly upgrades.
When an extensive amount of rain comes down in Bloomington, the city's stormwater systems work overtime to prevent scenes like this. Storm drains and underground piping are only part of a major infrastructure system that prevents high water in city streets and even erosion. But the monthly utility fee residents pay to maintain these systems could soon go up. The Bloomington Utility Service Board presented a proposed fee increase last year. Officials say the fee for residential customers could go up about $1.60 beginning July 1st, 2019. There will be another increase of about the same amount in January 2020.
The purpose of the fee increase we proposed is to revitalize our existing programs, repair the systems that we have, and then to open up opportunities for us to do more environmentally friendly sort of green infrastructure projects.
The full increase would generate $1.8 million in annual funding for continued upkeep and maintenance of the city's stormwater systems. The city plans to use nearly 1/3 of the money to fund green infrastructure projects like permeable pavement and rain gardens. Kelson says the rate hike gives the city an opportunity to transition to eco-friendly systems in the face of climate change.
There's a tendency towards more frequent large rain events than we used to have in Bloomington. Managing that with greener infrastructure is something that communities all over the country are doing.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Alex Eadie.
Well, sand is a hotter commodity than most people might think. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the cost per ton used for construction in the state has increased about 30% since 2012. That's significant because different types of sand are used in almost all aspects of construction, from road projects to buildings and houses. As Lindsay Wright reports, suppliers say in order to keep up with demand, they need more access to the source of the product.
Joe McCurdy has owned Brookfield Sand and Gravel for about 25 years. He started the Indianapolis Supply Company because he noticed a demand for a quality product. Today, perhaps more than ever, the demand for sand still exists.
You know, the economy is like a giant roller coaster, and when the economy is on the way up and maybe, at some of the more marks, then there's more used.
Sand is used in everything from concrete to asphalt to glass. And in Bartholomew County, for example, it's used to help de-ice around 700 miles of rural roads. The county mixes the sand with salt.
Cuts down on the expense of using pure salt, and then the sand provides some traction for people to drive on while the snow is melting.
Hollander says it's not uncommon for the sand prices to increase slightly each year, but this year the county will pay 53% more for sand than it did in 2018. Although the county typically uses around 5,000 tons of sand each winter, Hollander says the increase won't be the end of the world. Still, it's a significant jump, and it's just one example highlighting the demand for sand, a finite resource that industry leaders say could eventually get a bit harder to find. Sand is a sediment broken down from larger rocks. Lee Floria from the Indiana Geological and Water Survey says that process pretty much happens everywhere to a varying degree.
In a climate such as Indiana, where you have significant rainfall, the movement of water is a very effective abrasive agent that breaks down and weathers rocks.
And in order to access it, companies like Brookfield open up pits and dig it up. On a day when the temperatures are in the 60s instead of the teens like today, these machines at Brookfield would be in action, separating clumps of various sediment into specific piles. The company even does testing to ensure they know exactly what's coming out of the ground. McCurdy says customers need to know exactly what they're getting. Trucks drive in, load up with sand, and off they go, almost like a drive-through.
It is used in so many different things, the glass products, the concrete products, the asphalt products, home building, recreational use. We've produced sand for racetracks before, horse racetracks.
To keep up with demand, industry leaders say they need to open more areas to prospect the material, but the permitting process can be brutal. McCurdy says because there are so many checks and balances, it can take up to 10 years in some cases before a mine can operate.
There's the Indiana Department of Natural Resources, and then you have the Department of IDEM, you have the Army Corps of Engineers. So you have a lot of people that get involved in the permitting process, and you have local ordinance and regional ordinance and things like that you have to conform with.
Plus, there's often outcry from residents who don't want to see this in their backyard.
Most local governments are in favor of it until they get remonstration or get some pushback on it.
Shoemaker says Indiana still has plenty of sand and gravel deposits right now, but they need to access them in order to keep up.
It's a supply and demand business, and we're also regulated on how far we can haul a product. It's a very bulky product that you just we can't import this from other parts of the world, let alone other parts of the state very economically. It just doesn't work that way.
McCurdy says Brookfield is going through the approval process to open another mine, and it will likely take a few more years before it gets off the ground. He believes, just like the economy, the demand for sand will level off eventually. But right now, he plans to meet consumer needs.
It's a product that we all use, although we don't really realize it.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Lindsay Wright.
And the newest exhibit at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis is designed to be an out-of-this-world experience. Star Trek Exploring New Worlds opened this week, and as Becca Costello reports, it's an immersive exhibit for Trekkies of all ages.
From original series diehards to fans of the recent movies and everything in between, this exhibit has something for every kind of Star Trek fan.
We have over 150 different props and artifacts. Most of them are screen used. Of course, there have been, in the 50-plus years of Star Trek, 7 different series, 13 movies, and we have a little bit of something from everyone.
Even non-Trekkies will recognize some of the iconic props, like models of the famous USS Enterprise that were actually used for filming. Imagine yourself working the console on the bridge. This one was actually used on set for the original series. There are costumes for much-loved characters like Captain Jean-Luc Picard, plus phasers and data pads used in so many familiar scenes. And don't forget Captain Catherine Janeway of Star Trek Voyager, whose character is actually from Bloomington, Indiana. You can use the transporter room to beam down to an away mission. Or hop into Captain Kirk's chair on the bridge, or into a Borg regeneration module. Then you can climb through a Jeffries tube and listen close for a familiar sound.
Is that a tribble sound?
It's a popular exhibit already, with hundreds of people traveling from neighboring states to see it on opening day.
And what was really fun was that a lot of them were non-traditional guests who come to the museum. They were adults, often wearing Star Trek costumes, who couldn't wait to see it. Regardless of which generation of Star Trek fan you are, there's going to be something here for you.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Becca Costello.
And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville, fiber internet, streaming TV, home security, and automation in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Maller-Grodner Attorneys, providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association, connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement, extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members, thank you.